Tilt shift photography is something that I've always wanted to try. It looks like a lot of fun, and that toy effect has intrigued me for a while now. I've tried it on my iPhone using editing effects, but it never quite matched the real thing. And so it's something that was on the back burner because tilt shifts are few and far between, especially on the Fuji system. The GFX now has a couple tilt shift lenses, but the X series itself didn't until now. The kind folks over at Seven Artisans were kind enough to send me the 50mm f1.4 tilt shift lens for the X system. It's fast at 1.4, very well built, and extremely affordable. It's only about $226 US. Now, I know this is something that's heavily used in product photography, architectural photography. I'm none of those photography. But what I did want to do is take it out to give it a try and just have fun with it and do what I've always wanted to do, is basically turn the world into a toy. So I took the lens and my X-T4 and I took it downtown. I thought it would be really cool to get the toy effect on the local train station that we have here. To get that tilt shift toy effect, you need to have a shallow depth of field and adjust this part of the wheel. There are actually two knobs, one to unlock it and one to move it up and down. If you want the focus plane to go vertical or diagonal, you can rotate the lens to get that effect so that you can tilt accordingly. By adjusting the focusing ring, you adjust what part of the photo you want visible and sharp. Here's a live view from my camera where you can see adjusting the focusing wheel, adjust what part you want visible and sharp. And rotating the lens will also allow you to change the point that you want sharpen and focus, adjusting that plane to be vertical or horizontal. It's pretty cool. To really capture that toy effect, I actually switched the film simulation to Velvia to really pop the colors and really give it that toy feeling. This was my first try, and it's not bad, but I learned very quickly that when you have a person in a shot, they really need to have their backs turned, otherwise it kind of breaks that illusion. Like this one right here, this person clearly looks real, and it just kind of shatters that toy effect. The other lesson that I learned is not to be directly on the same plane as the subject that you're photographing. By being on the same plane, it kind of breaks that illusion of that toy effect, and it wasn't that great. I had 2 more tries to photograph some trains. I would try to adjust, but ideally it would have been better if I was at a higher elevation. My last chance at photographing the train was when the commuter rail made its return trip. Yes, it drives backwards. That's Boston for you. But I think this time I was able to capture it a little bit better. Photographing it at the train stop, I think, made it a little bit better and a little bit more toyish, I would say. Still not great, but it's better. My hometown has a really cool bridge that I happen to like, and I always wanted to do a panoramic of it. This is where we're going to use the shift part by touching this button. By doing a few shifts of the lens, you can take a few photos at each position and then stitch them together in Lightroom or Photoshop to create a panoramic effect. And the benefit of this is to avoid any kind of parallax that would happen. I knew this spot by the coast that has all the fishing boats docked, and I thought that would make for a good composition. And I found that it worked okay. I really exaggerated the color here. Again, Velvia, and then I bumped it some in post. And it works, but I think if I did a longer exposure, that might have helped, but the water's tricky, and in this case it kind of worked, but I don't know. I think they're alright. One town over, I went to Amesbury because it has a really nice looking downtown area, and it has a waterfall that cuts right through the middle, which is really cool, and I wanted to give this a try. This surprised me. I was really happy with the results. The waterfall looked fake like a toy, and this was what I was looking for. I even did a little video using the tilt shift effect, and I think it looks spectacular. These last 3 photos I took in town, I think really emphasized the tilt shift effect. And I think it's because I was at a different elevation. I was looking upwards, up the hill, and I think that really gave the tilt shift that toy effect that it really needed. Last but not least is my backyard. I have this tree growing in there that flowers during springtime, and it smells great, it looks great. I don't know what it is, but I loved photographing it with this tilt shift lens. The effect was really, really cool, and I'm glad I did it because now it's starting to wilt. Those flowers, they do not last. So after using the lens, what are the pros and cons? Well, let's start with the cons. The first, the aperturing doesn't click. And so when you're looking at your composition and you're trying to adjust, there are times where I was adjusting the aperture ring rather than adjusting the focusing ring. And it was too late to tell, and then I had to recompose, look at the f-stop again. Kind of a pain in the butt, but all right, I could live with that. Con number 2 is this shift button right here. The shift is kind of finicky to use, and it's hard to get your hand in there. I think that's mainly because I have that cage around my XT4, but it's still, when it's on the camera, sometimes it feels like it's sticking a little bit finicky, but take that for what it's worth. And then finally, I don't know if this is a con. This could be my own ignorance to tilt-shift camera lenses, because this is my first tilt-shift lens. But the shift is only good for like about 2 photos worth. It makes about a 16:9 panoramic. Again, I don't know if this is a con. It makes a panoramic, but not like a bigger panoramic that I thought would be. Again, if I'm wrong, down in the comments below, let me know. Again, small con. Apart from that, here are the pros. It's super fun. I had a great time using this. It was new. It was a great experience playing around with it. The bokeh on the shallow depth of field, I think, is very unique and good. Again, that's subjective, because a lot of people will want it buttery smooth, and other people kind of like that old style lens feel to it. To me, it was cool. I really liked it, especially in the flower photos. This has a very solid build. In fact, when it was sent to me, the box was secure, but when I opened up the package, the containing box of the lens came open, and it kind of bounced around during its travels. And solid as a rock. It's super well built, very metallic, good weight to it, but not cumbersome. It's not too much. It's just right. And then finally, you can't argue with the price. $226 US. That's a steal. It's the price is worth it just to play around with the lens and trying out tilt shift photography for the first time. I think it's definitely worth having in your own kit. Using it professionally, I can't speak to that, because I don't know if it would be good for product photography or if it would be good for architecture photography. But for the kind of photography that I was looking for, it satisfied those needs, and I think it was worth the price. Anyway, I hope you like these videos. We'll see you next time.